Homestead, podcasting live deep within the American Ozark Mountains at an elevation of 2,200 feet. It's Saturday night, 9 p.m. Central and 10 p.m. Eastern, and we are ready finally to get started. I actually went through this before, but you didn't hear me because we were having technical difficulties. So you're not going to see me. I see a lot of people asking from the chat box, hey, why can't we see anybody? And that's because we are off-grid, and we don't have any lights, so you're not going to see us anyway. So I have this neat little graphic up there that you can look at while you're listening to Jamie and me, and while we do the show. So that's why you have no video. There will be no video because we have no lights. That's as simple as that. So you're going to get a podcast, an audio podcast. It's live, and we can interact with you. But we do have things we wanted to go through tonight to, as a schedule. So we'll try to get to that. Yeah, candles. Grandpa's Farm says do candles. Well, it's still not going to show up very well with our webcams. Anyway, yeah, we're talking in the dark here, and really appreciate the opportunity from the Big Family Homestead, Brad, for giving us that, and for our listeners who have joined us, who are part of our channel. We really urge you guys, go check out Brad at the Big Family Homestead on his YouTube channel, and also all the other channels from the Homestead Network. We'll go ahead and go through that list real quick. It's thehomesteadnetwork.com. Check out that website. If you like shows like this, you'll also like other shows from other homesteaders that are getting together on the Homestead Network, and they basically switch off between time slots and their YouTube channel. So you can go hear different homesteads talk about the things they do on a regular, everyday basis. You want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. I'm just watching Zach talk right here. He can't not talk with his hands. It's actually pretty funny. You can't see him, but even though you can't see him, he's still talking with his hands.
So I'll be here waving in the dark while you're all listening. So Friday, let's just go ahead and go down the list. I think Thursday, they're starting off new time slots on Thursday at thehomesteadnetwork.com. Friday, you have the Big Bear Homestead, 8 to 9. And then from 9 to 10, you have Go for Green Living, which is a channel I watch, subscribe to. Some of these other channels I'm not aware of, but I'll have to go and subscribe to them. Many of these channels that are listed on the network I have been listening to for a while and also reading their blogs. So we're very familiar with some of the work you guys are doing, because I know some of you have blogs and YouTube channels. So really cool about that. Saturday, Living Like Claire, starting at 5:30, and then 5:30 to 6, you have the Off-Grid Kid. That looks pretty cool. And then you have 6 to 7, 46 degrees north off-grid. And then 7 to 8 in the evening, you have the DV Homestead. 8 to 9 in the evening, you have Living on a Dime Homestead. And then from 9 to 10, you have the Deep South Homestead. And so these are all really cool channels. I'm going to have to check some of these out. Again, I'm familiar with some of them. And then on Sunday, you have the Alderman Farms at 6 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, you have the Big Family Homestead with Brad and his wife. And then you have 8 to 9 p.m. Dirt Patch Heaven. Familiar with that channel. And then 9 to 10 Off-Grid Nation. And then 10 o'clock Sunday night Homestead Onomics, which sounds really interesting. So go check out the homesteadnetwork.com. And again, big thanks out to Brad at the Big Family Homestead for hooking us up and allowing us to do this. So really cool about all of that. Anyway, I wanted to talk about tonight how to get free land. It was just the other day. I was driving down the road and I was listening to something on NPR, believe it or not. And NPR was talking about free land being given away in a number of states. And one of the ones they mentioned was a place in Kansas. And so I started doing some research, and I thought this would be a pretty good topic to talk about on tonight's show. And then also me and Jamie are going to go through some email questions that we get and answer those on the air. So, again, if you're just joining us, no, there's no video. It's all audio. This is an audio podcast because we are off-grid. We have no lights. We're just sitting here in the dark talking to my laptop, and it's just not going to make for very good video if we do it that way. So we're just going to do audio-only podcast. And plus, my internet connection is not that great. Audio is about all we can do. So, going ahead and getting into, do you want to add anything?
No.
Okay. Okay. So, free land. I was researching this whole thing on free land and found out that there really is good free land available. And it's not going to be like, 120 acres of free land that someone gives you. But it is going to be a lot, or maybe an acre, maybe a half acre, quarter acre of land. And, there's so many emails that we get from people who really want to just start homesteading, and they ask us, how are we going to homestead? And, that answer is different for everybody. So, there's no one, template answer I can give to everyone who wants to begin homesteading. But a lot of people, seeing the world and it's in the situation that it is right now, are just trying to figure out a way out of the cities. And these free land opportunities look like a really good deal. No, it's not swampland. Edward Turner asks, is it swampland? No, it's not. It's not swampland. Many of these are from places in Kansas, Nebraska, Minnesota, all kinds of different places. Mostly, it seems like in the Midwest, where there used to be manufacturing, there used to be some sort of industry, and it collapsed, and now the town is a ghost town. And these towns, these mayors and these city councils are getting together, county governments. It's like, how can we bring people back to to the land and to the area? And they have all of this land that has been given up, the taxes haven't been paid on it, and nobody wants it, and people have just left, and they don't know what to do. And so they're trying to give it away for free to get you to move there. And there's some requirements. Some of the requirements are, you have to build a house within 2 years. Some of the requirements are you have to build, no, it's not Detroit, Michigan. I wouldn't move to Detroit, Michigan if someone paid me a lot of money. And someone asked that in the chat room. But some of the requirements are you have to build a house in 2 years. Some of the requirements are you have to build a house, say, of like 1,200 square feet minimum. You have to be a permanent resident. That's one of the requirements. You have to, there's just different requirements that you have to contact them and go through. But it seems like if you were living in the city and you needed to just get out and figure out a way to move out, this would be a perfect opportunity. Yeah, you're not going to get 100 acres or whatever. You may just get a quarter acre lot that you have to build at least a minimum of 1,200 square feet on. That's not that big a deal. That's a pretty good deal. That's free land. And if I was living in the city right now, I think I wouldn't think twice about checking some of these out and jumping on an opportunity. So anyway, I just thought it'd be a great idea to go through some of these and look at them. There's lots of land places. So what I'm going to do is list some of these, and I'll list them in the description below after the broadcast is over so that you can check them out. And we're just going to spend a few minutes on this before we move on to something else. But I thought it was important enough to mention. There's a website called Freeland Kansas, freelandks.com, freelandks.com. And you can go there, and it gives a lot of the requirements, some of the things that are going to be offered. It gives the town, the information there. Marquette is the big one that's been in the news lately. I was listening to NPR because I know people are like, why would you listen to NPR? It's one of the only stations we get here around the homestead, with really good quality. So we do listen to NPR, and I play the NPR in all the time in my garden in order to keep the deer out, and it does work really, really well. So we listen to NPR here sometimes. Anyway, I was listening to NPR the other day while I was working in the garden because it was doing its job of keeping the deer out, and I heard about this whole Marquette, Kansas, where you can get free land and build a house on it, or move into a house that's already there that maybe needs renovation. So check out that. There's also other places where you can go get more information on this. Marquette, Kansas is one of them. If you just search for, where is it at? Free land. Let's just go ahead and go to Google real quick. Free land in states. And obviously the 13 places to find free land for homesteading in the United States. This was the article I was looking at before. So it's at morningchores.com/free-land, and I'll put the link in the description below. And it says how to get free land for homesteading. These are the locations where you can get free land. Lincoln, Kansas. Marquette, Kansas. New Richland, Minnesota. Mankato, Kansas. Osborne, Kansas. A lot of places in Kansas. Kansas must be pretty abandoned. Plainville, Kansas. Curtis, Nebraska. Curtis, Nebraska. Elwood, Nebraska. Loop City, Nebraska. And Marne, Iowa. These are the places right now, at least that are listed as of this last year, that are giving away free real estate. Again, there is regulations and requisites that you must meet. For instance, the one in Marne, Iowa, your home that you build must be a minimum of 1,200 square feet, and must be constructed within 18 months of the land being deeded over to you. So these are free land deeds that you can go and get, but they have some, requirements. They do allow conventional construction along with modular homes, and they require that you file an application to apply for this land. Obviously. Oh, Manila, Iowa is another place. Manila, Iowa. Here's a Cuyahoga. How do you pronounce that?
I don't know.
Cuyahoga National Park in Ohio.
Cuyahoga.
And they are giving away free land. The real estate market, they said, okay. Yeah, these are the places listed. I'm going to post this link, morningchores.com/freeland. And these are all the places. In Curtis, Nebraska, it's a small retirement town. They have multiple lots available for free. All utilities have already been placed, so there's no additional fees to place utilities. You will need to apply for this land as well. The website offers a visual. So, folks, this is not prime homesteading land, right? Not prime homesteading land. But think of it this way. You're living in the middle of New York City. You realize that, prepping is a good thing, to get involved in. And you look around at the economy today, and you look around at our nation today, and you're like, I got to get out of this city. And you don't have the money to go buy 120 acres in the middle of wherever. But there's a few places in Nebraska and Kansas and Iowa and Ohio that are giving away lots of free land where you can build your own place or move into a place already built. All you have to do is agree to be a permanent resident in most cases, and boom, you're out of the big city. Guys, you're going to fare way better. You're going to fare far better in a place where there's low population levels than in New York City or in some other metropolitan area. So this is I think it's a pretty good opportunity.
Yeah, pretty good option.
I mean, wouldn't you think?
I was telling Zach earlier that I love the idea of living in a small town. Being able to, it's kind of the idyllic life for me, being able to walk to the neighborhood market and that kind of thing. We're way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, anyway, there is free land available out there. And so when people email us, and some of the people who have emailed us are in this predicament. They're in a place where there's no option for them to buy 50, 100, even 10 acres. And so they're like, hey, what can I do? And I'm like, man, number one, get out of debt. Get out of debt in any way possible. And then maybe you and your family can look into some of these options and moving to a small town. Yeah, it's not going to be, some of these other places that, that you see these homesteaders making their dream homesteads on, but it's going to get you out of the city. It's going to give you a roof over your head and get you away from all the danger that comes with a collapsing economy should that happen, you living in the city. So there you go. There's some 13 places to find free land in the United States. There is free land. And like I said, most of these are just small towns who are trying to get people to move back to them and to grow their population. And this is one of the ways they're doing it. And it's getting a lot of press lately. Again, I heard this on NPR, but there's other places who are promoting these news stories and, giving some good opportunities. Anyway, all right. Let's see here. I'm going to go back to my notepad I had, and we're going to answer some emails. and some of these are directed to Jamie. Let's try. Let's see. What was it? This one here. I love y'all's channel. Lots of very useful info. You mentioned lots of books in your posts. What are some of the homesteading cooking books you find most useful? I bought the Nourishing Traditions cookbook and loved it.
I don't really cook from cookbooks very much, just because I'm more of a, just fly by the seat of my pants cook. I just kind of throw stuff in. But if I was to say, the only cookbooks I actually have on my shelf are the Nourishing Traditions cookbook, which you mentioned in your question. I think that's an awesome just cookbook to learn about fermenting and cooking foods the old-fashioned way. I also have the Better Homes and Gardens cookbook that I've had for years. It's really the only cookbook that has stood the test of time for me, just because it basically has a good selection of recipes if you're just looking for what you need at a moment's notice. I really like that cookbook because I can generally find what I'm looking for. This weekend I made zucchini bread, so I pulled that out, and yep, they've got a recipe for that. So that's actually the only cookbook I have on my shelf that I pull out on a regular basis. Like I said, Nourishing Traditions for learning about fermenting foods and doing things the old-fashioned way is an awesome way to get started. I learned how to make sourdough bread from their cookbook. I also learned how to make sauerkraut and other fermented foods. Let's see. I actually have my own little collection of recipes that I also keep on my shelf. It's just an old cookbook that I put together myself with just different things that I like to make. So I just have my recipes and slips of paper thrown in there. And that's honestly, they're really the only things that I cook from, other than just out of my head.
We've got a bunch of recipes that we're putting together to make like a brochure. I thought about making a calendar with a number of recipes for people, and to give away to some of our patrons and other people who wanted to buy it. But I looked into actually what it cost to make a calendar, have a calendar printed, and it was way expensive. So I was like, well, I think we're not gonna do that for a while. But we will come out with some brochures, I think, for a lot of our listeners to have some of our most used recipes. And also we have recipes on our website at AmericanHomestead.com. So you can go to our website and search for recipes, and you'll, I'm sure, find something there. Always New Times says, Jamie, do you miss anything being off-grid?
Not really. I guess my answer has been in the past that I miss refrigeration. But I don't really miss that anymore. It's been, almost 4 years for us now that we haven't had a refrigerator. So we've gotten used to it. I actually really don't miss it. And you know what? I never have to clean out the refrigerator, and that's a chore.
Yeah. So let's go back to the emails. Guys, if you want to send us email questions before the show, you can do that. Just go to our contact page. And AmericanHomestead.com. Send us an email through that. Also, if you ever want to sign up for any of our giveaways that we do on our YouTube channel, just go to our contact page and put in the subject line. The subject line must say giveaways, and it will automatically be loaded and saved and loaded for all of our giveaways in the future. And I promise you, I will never spam you. We won't spam you. But just go ahead if you want to be in line. Now, all you have to do is register one time, and you'll be in there forever. And it's only for our personal use. You may get 1 or 2 emails from us a year. I'm not going to give your email to anyone else or any company, so don't worry about that. Shannon Shepard asked us in the email, where do I find 55-gallon barrels? Where did you find yours? There's a lot of places you can find 55-gallon barrels, and we have found them from a number of places. A lot of times you can just go on Craigslist and find them. Sometimes people will even give them away on Craigslist. And so 55-gallon barrels come in really handy for all kinds of things. You can use them for fuel storage. You can use them for water catchment. You can use them for aquaponics. We use them in our aquaponics system. Use them for all kinds of things. We use them for barrel stoves. We make barrel stoves out of them. We have barrel stoves inside of our aquaponics to keep it warm during the winter time. When it gets down to about 20 degrees or so, 25 degrees, I start firing that thing up, especially if it's cloudy during the day. I fire that thing up, and I have it sealed tight, and it burns all night long. Also, 55-gallon barrels, you can find them at a lot of recycle centers. If you have recycle centers near where you live, check out those. I have found them there. There's also scrap yards. Scrap yards are a big place to find 55-gallon barrels. And a lot of times, especially the metal ones, the scrap yards will have them, and you can get them usually for free. I think the last time we found one at a scrapyard, a guy made us pay like $2 or $3 for it or something like that. I'm not sure what it was, but it was really super cheap. And a lot of times you can find them for free. And also, a lot of times when you get these 55-gallon barrels, you're going to have to burn them out. They contain things like oils and auto fluids and stuff like that, so you have to burn them out really good. But once you do that, you can paint them with some fire-resistant paint, and they'll last a long time. If you ever use them for burning things, make sure you put sand in the bottom so it doesn't burn the bottom of the barrel out. And we also use a 55-gallon burn barrel for our smokehouse, our cold smoker that we use to sell our smoked salt and smoked meats. All of our venison, we have an update on our venison coming out soon, but we use the steel barrel for that as well, 55-gallon drum. So that's where you find them. Craigslist, recycle centers, and scrapyards are the best places to find them, and you'll probably have to pay very little if you find them at a scrapyard or a recycle center. Zachary, I have a question. If someone is thinking about wanting to get out of the city and start a homestead, where would you suggest someone start? Well, that was kind of this is Christine who sent this email. Christine Rochester. Where would you start? What do you think? If someone is thinking about wanting to get out of the city and start a homestead, where would you suggest someone to start?
It depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, it's different for everyone. It's totally different for everyone. So,
I mean, I think about my grandma a lot. My grandma grew up in Nebraska, as a matter of fact. And she went to California with her husband after they got married. I look at her and I think that she was homesteading, but she lived in urban America way back when. But, she knew how to can. She canned some things, and she had a garden. She grew veggies in her backyard, and she loved it. She did a lot of homesteading kind of things. But we look at homesteading today and we think that we have to move out in the middle of nowhere, which is great, and that's what we've chosen to do. But you don't have to do that.
No. I mean, there's all kinds of terms with homesteading. There's people who call it urban homesteading, people who call it modern homesteading, suburban homesteading, rural homesteading. There's all kinds of homesteading. And, I kind of think we fit in the category of modern homesteading, because there are some people out there who really like to homestead with very little technology at all whatsoever, and I'm just not that guy. I like using modern technology like chainsaws and solar panels and all of that stuff, and I just don't want to go back to horses and buggies if I don't have to. And one day, if I have to, then I will. I'll adapt and overcome, and I'll do it with a smile on my face, but I don't want to have to do that if I don't have to. So I'm in the modern homesteading crowd, and so that's what I think I'll stick with for now. But you just have to figure out, what is it you want to do? Didn't you write an article for Molly Green about something about where it would be a shame? No, that was the video you did, what to look for in a homestead, I think. Where you said it'd be a shame for you to say, hey, I want to do off-grid homesteading, and then get out to where you can't get electricity, find out that you can't stand living off-grid and not be able to move electricity on the homestead that you started.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck then. I think you just gotta figure out what you want and go for it with all your heart. And whatever it is, don't let anyone talk you out of it. Just go for it with all your heart, but make sure that that's what you want.
Right.
Before you jump in and do it.
Right. So there you go. Christine Rochester sends the email in. if someone's thinking about wanting to get out of the city and start a homestead, where we suggest someone to start. It's different. The answer is different for everyone. And
I liked what this person said. You'd have to scroll up to see it again, but somebody said on here that they grew up as a family of 12, and it wasn't called homesteading then. It was just living.
Exactly.
I don't know who said it on here, but I've talked to women out here who have grown up out here, and that's what they say. They kind of think it's funny that we call ourselves an off-grid homestead because everybody out here has some way that they are technically off-grid, whether they truck in their water or, whatever it is that they do. They heat water on their stove just like we do, and it's just their normal way of life because they don't have the modern conveniences that people have been used to in the cities. But I just thought that I sat on my porch and talked to a woman one day, and she thinks it's cool that we have this website and YouTube channel and everything, and she thinks it's cool, but she's just kind of marveling that there's people out there who don't know what she knows. I said, well, yeah, we're just all kind of learning as we go.
Yeah. There's a lot of people, locals that we've met here recently, are just over the course of the last few years, and I mean they're all homesteading. I mean this is their way of life, and some of the people who live in this area have been here for generations. Their families have, and it's just their everyday way of life, and it's kind of funny. We're making a big deal about it, but this is just what they do and what they grew up like. So, but again, that's going to be a different answer for everyone. Know your limitations. What are you interested in, and what are your abilities? That's kind of going to determine what kind of homestead you build. So, hello, I'm a fan of y'all's videos from Arkansas. I like your venison prosciutto video. Maybe I overlooked it, but y'all have a video that shows how y'all process the celery for meat curing. Thanks for a moment of your time. This is from Christopher Cayo, an email he sent in. Again, it says, I like your venison prosciutto video. Maybe I overlooked it, but do y'all have a video that shows how y'all process the celery for meat curing? Thanks. He likes to say the word y'all, so I'm a fan of y'all's videos from Arkansas. I don't know where he's from. Is he from Arkansas? It doesn't say. But he likes saying y'all. Anyway, our venison prosciutto, we're going to do an update on all of our meat curing that we did last winter, because it still looks really good, and it's fine, and we've been eating it, from then up until now. We eat it. My boys love the deer salami, and understand, we have no refrigeration, and, Edward Little wants us to repeat the register info for the giveaways. So to register for our giveaways, very simple. Just go to anamericanhomestead.com and fill out the contact form on the contact page and put giveaways in the subject line. Giveaways. And it'll automatically be put into a database where we can use that for all of our product giveaways and prizes that we give away during the course of the year. And you only have to register one time, because you're never going to have to register again. Once you're in the system, you're in the system, and I never take you out. So, whenever you guys just get on over to AmericanHomestead.com, our website, and AmericanHomestead.com, and fill out the contact page, put giveaways in the subject line, and I promise I won't spam you. I'll probably send you 1 or 2 emails a year. And I'll never sell your email address or give your email address away to a company or anybody else. It's just for me, and it's just for the giveaways. Okay? All right, there you go. You're welcome, Edward Little. All right, so back to the processing the celery. So we preserved all of our meat last year, or a bunch of it, and we just hung it in our house, and it preserved it. And so we salted it, and we cured it with celery powder. Celery is a very high source of nitrates and nitrites, and you can use it to preserve meat. And so we did that. We preserved a bunch of meat, a bunch of our deer meat with venison, a bunch of our venison with celery powder. Arugula is also very high in nitrate and nitrates, and you can use arugula powder for doing the same thing, or celery juice or arugula juice, things like that you can use. And you can even go to Trader Joe's. Someone recently gave us some turkey bacon that was cured with celery powder and celery juice. So it's something that you can find it in the stores. They use this in the stores for a lot of things. So anyway, there you go. You can basically, we just harvest the celery. It grows in our aquaponics. I haven't even had to put new seed down. I just harvest the celery out of the aquaponics, and then I dry it and then grind it into a powder, and that's the powder I use to cure the meat that is used in our meat saving, our meat preservation. And so we're going to have a bunch of, we have a video coming out very soon, and to show you just the updates on all of our meat preservation, and it's going to be really neat. We got our prosciuttos, venison prosciuttos, that are still hanging in the house, and all of our deer salami is still hanging in the house. None of it is refrigerated. It's just hanging there. It's been hanging there, and we've been eating on most of the salami over the course of the spring, fall, winter, spring, and now summer, and we're still eating it. So it turned out very good. So going to the chat room here, is Brad from the Big Family Homestead on here? I'm going to let you guys, I'll just post that. Is Brad here? Big Family Homestead. And we'll see where Brad is. I'm going to make you a moderator when I find you. And where's the moderator? Where's Brad? Would red celery work? I don't know. I haven't tried red celery. I just have green celery. I didn't know I didn't know there was red celery.
I don't know.
So,
I've never heard of red celery either.
I don't know. Jamie just made salsa today, or yesterday, and it's pretty spicy. Turned out to be pretty good though. All right, Brad isn't here yet. He was here earlier. When he gets back, I'll make him a moderator. You want to talk about your salsa?
Well, I feel like I've really been canning for 3 years, and I've canned a lot of food, so maybe I've just jumped right in and did it. But there's a lot more seasoned canners out there than me. Anyway, I get some really cool emails sometimes with suggestions, and especially about tomatoes, because honestly, I feel like if you've canned, you know that at least what I feel is tomatoes are the most work. By the time you get the peels off and then get your recipe done and get it all going, and then it's ready to go in the jars, I feel like tomatoes is the most work. And our tomatoes come out of the garden in laundry baskets full. So there's a lot of tomatoes, and I have to get them all going in one day because I don't like to have to save them for the next day. And I don't have the advantage of a freezer, so I can't just dump the tomatoes in a freezer and wait until, the fall when maybe I have some more time. Anyway, so I decided to do a small batch of salsa this week. I did 7 pints, and it turned out really well. The thing that really someone told me was, and it sounds like a simple method, I don't know why I didn't think of it myself. Basically, all I did was, once I got the peels off the tomatoes, I dumped them in a colander, and then I squeezed the tomatoes to get most of the juice out, so what I had was pulp left. And then after that, I put it in my recipe. And that saved a lot of time versus boiling your salsa down until it gets to the right consistency that you like in order to get the water out of the tomatoes.
We made about 100 jars of tomatoes last year, and salsa last year. 100 jars of salsa last year, and I'm thinking we should do more than that this year, right?
I told Zach, I said, okay, so when Zach and I got, this is kind of an aside, but when Zach and I got married, He told me that he would never eat frozen vegetables, that he would only eat vegetables if they were fresh or if they were cooked from fresh. He would never eat frozen vegetables, and
I hate frozen vegetables.
And definitely not canned vegetables. The only vegetable he would eat canned was green beans, and it had to be in that green bean casserole. Okay, so fast forward all these years later, and I look at my pantry and I think, okay, so I can't really can that much stuff because he's not going to eat it. But he eats all of the veggies straight out of the garden. He'll go out and pick the peppers, and he eats them straight off the plants. He eats the tomatoes straight off the plants. He eats everything.
I just like it raw. I like it raw. I mean, I have a friend of mine, Paul Neeson. He has a great YouTube channel too. Paul Neeson, the Health Watchman, and he is a raw foodist, and he's a good friend of mine. A really good channel to check out. And I love eating raw. I just love it. I don't know. Something changed in me a couple years ago. I juiced raw veggies for like a full week, and it changed something inside my body. And I just love eating raw food right out of the garden.
So what I decided this year is that I'm going to concentrate on those foods that I feel are really delicious when they're canned. And of course, tomatoes. And salsa is Zach's favorite thing. So I have to make lots and lots of salsa. And potatoes, I did, 45 quarts of potatoes in the last couple weeks. And he loves those. And so I can just open them up and fry them up in a skillet, and he loves them that way.
Yeah, I love the potatoes.
And then I'm going to, hopefully, we don't have fruit trees producing now, but I'm going to concentrate on getting some canned fruit done too this year.
We're going to try to see if we can buy some bushels of peaches. And so if we can do that, then we'll do a bunch of peaches this year. But there's just so many things. I mean, our garden is producing like crazy right now. I mean, I'm not even keeping up with the weeds anymore. Right now, it's just full-time harvest, full-time, get as much out of it as you can. And the achichas, people asked about the achichas. The Artichoke cucumbers are growing great right now. They're all over the arbor that's out in our garden. And the flowers are small, but the Artichoke cucumbers are coming in. And if you haven't grown those yet, I mean, they are an amazing vine. They'll put out, each plant will put out multiple vines that grow 10, 15, 20 feet each. And it just covers, and it climbs, and it climbs, and it just, Jamie doesn't like the achichas, but I eat them, and I eat them raw.
You've never told anyone that online.
I love them. I love them.
I am really not a picky eater. I will eat anything. I really will eat anything. But I don't really care for them that much. But you may love them. Zach loves them.
Yeah, I totally love the achichas. Anyway,
somebody asked on here too whether we have the outdoor kitchen done yet. It has the roof, and it has the evaporator, the maple syrup evaporator that we're going to be using for water bath canning. That's in place. So but it doesn't have countertop or anything like that. So I'll probably set up some tables. I haven't used it yet. He says I'm going to be able, my dad is building it. He says I'm going to be able to use it to water bath my salsa this week. So I'm excited about that. I'll have some shade.
Yeah, so it's on its way to be done, so we're looking forward to using it. So we're going to be using it for all of the salsa. So, and then hopefully if we harvest any sorghum this year, because the sorghum's starting to grow, I don't know if we're going to get anything out of it. If we do, we'll use it for that as well. But, wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles, we have some sugarcane growing in our garden this year. And it was I had to go on a trip to San Diego for a conference, and there was a lady there who is the grandmother of one of the guys who lives near us. And she doesn't speak a lick of English, but she gave me these seeds in my hand, and I asked somebody, I'm like, what are these? And she translated, and she says, they're sugarcane. I said, well, I don't think sugarcane will grow here, but I'll try. I'll plant them in the ground and see what happens. And so I put the sugarcane seeds in the ground, and lo and behold, they are taller than me. They are taller than tall. they are going nuts. And so we're going to see if we get sugarcane this year on the homestead. The kids will love it if it grows. So, I mean, I may grow it every year after that. So we'll see what happens. But what is ocean solution? What is that?
I've never heard of that.
Someone in the chat thing was asking the ocean solution. I couldn't get your registry page. I sent you an email. I don't know what you're... you have to go to AmericanHomestead.com and go to the contact page, Edward. The contact page, and you can fill it out there. And it says Deep South Homestead grows sugarcane. Well, I didn't think we would be able to grow where we're at in Northwest Arkansas, but it seems like it will, and it's growing really well. So we'll see what happens if it grows or not. And our sunflowers are doing good. They're just, they're not, the heads aren't as big as they were in years past. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Anyway, also our county fair is coming up soon. And so we're going to be able to maybe enter some really neat things into the county fair. And I think it'd be really cool to put some sugar cane into the county fair, chop off a piece of cane and enter that, because I guarantee you, I mean, we've been there 2 years now. I've never seen sugar cane entered into the vegetable section of the county fair. Mm-hmm. That would be a winner. So, anyway, what else to talk about? People?
Someone wants to know, someone had a question about sauerkraut, but I didn't see it. So, if someone wants to post their question again about sauerkraut, go ahead.
Someone has, visit him, hello, an American Homestead from California. I didn't think anybody still lived in California. I thought they moved out here. We grow ours from stalks. Did you see the question? I don't know what you're talking about, Zena. You'll have to post it again. So now we're kind of done, and we're kind of looking. We have like 10 minutes left, and we're kind of looking at the chat box. So if you have any questions in the chat box, go ahead and post them in the chat box, and we'll try to answer them as best as we can. One guy says, I'm in Central Arkansas. I argues to be a good grower of cane and sorghum. Yeah, sorghum is different than sugar cane, and sorghum grows really good here. But I didn't think, from what I had researched, sugar cane would not grow well where I'm at my elevation. But it seems that I may have been wrong about that, because right now it's growing really, really well.
Oh, she wants to know if I'm going to do a video on sauerkraut. Well, the funny thing is, I told Zach, because he had amazing cabbages coming in the garden this year. And I made so much sauerkraut. That's basically all I did with our cabbages last year. And so I still have a lot of sauerkraut left. I'm actually keeping it in our old-fashioned well. It's it's in fish baskets, immersed under the water in our old-fashioned well. And I really need to pull it out and check it, because I want to get the bands replaced on my mason jars before they rust, and I can't get it open. So I'm gonna do that. Maybe we'll make a video of me getting my sauerkraut out of the well. Yeah. I'm sure it's still good, because we've had some not too long ago. But this year I chose to use sauerkraut for our other favorite thing is egg rolls.
We love egg rolls.
I used the cabbage for the egg rolls this year instead of sauerkraut. We've been eating a lot of egg rolls, and they're really, really good.
I've got lots of cabbages in the garden that sometime this week, tomorrow or the next day, I've got to pull out and get them out. So there's so many cabbages I have to get out. It'd be really cool. Maybe we could do a video this week on pulling the sauerkraut out of the well.
Yeah, we can taste it.
And taste it on camera.
It's so super easy. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what my mood is like this week, because I have to do a lot of salsa. So we'll see. I might just do a quick video on making sauerkraut. It's super easy. I'm
going to be going over to a friend's house tomorrow morning to help build a roof over his deck. And then after that, I'll be back. I'll probably be uploading some videos early in the week. Got a lot of great stuff coming up, and posting maybe the testing. We're going to do this week's episode is going to be about air conditioning.
Yeah, it's been hot, and so air conditioning is always the topic of conversation.
Yeah, so we'll be doing a video. Our next episode, season 3, episode 8, will be on air conditioning. and we'll be doing that this week. So, also, somebody asked the Big Bear Homestead wants to know if we trap. We do. I do trap. I've been trapping for years, and I'm pretty good at it. I've just had a lot of things on my plate the last few years. But I've trapped beaver, I've trapped coon, I've trapped all kinds of things, and I save the pelts. And I even send every once in a while. I'll send pelts in to get tanned. I've tried a number of tanning myself, and I've had mixed results. You know what? There's just the chemical tanning they do today. There is just no way to compete with that. I have not seen a self-pelted or self-tanned pelt look near as good as the chemical ones that they do today. And if you have one that can compare with the chemical ones they do today, I would love to see it. But I'm gonna tan maybe trap some more coming up in the wintertime. I don't know if I'll get to it this winter or not. There's just so many things going on, and this winter is going to be heavy on getting logs cut down so that we can run the sawmill. And if I can find some time to do some trapping, I will. But there's just a lot of other stuff to be doing. So Doug and Stacy from the Homestead Homies are here. Good to see you guys sticking around, and you guys need to get your own show on here on the Homestead Network. But let's see what else is going on. I see 73's from California as well. KM6BFF, that's your call sign. I guess you're a ham radio operator. I'm a ham radio operator too, and I have my license, and I have a couple 2-meter radios that I run, and I need to put one in my truck that I got recently. I just haven't done it yet, but it's on the list of things to do. There's lots of stuff to do around the homestead. The list never gets shorter. It just gets longer. We got about 8 minutes left. Is there anything else that you want to mention?
I'm just looking at these people, the HVAC service technicians. A fun fact, Zach's dad is an HVAC. And here we are living without air conditioning and heating, and that's what he does for a living. He actually wanted Zach to join his business years ago.
Yeah.
And that was his dream, that he could hand over his business to Zach, but...
And what did I do? I moved to the middle of nowhere, and I don't have air conditioning.
Or a heater.
or a heater, yeah. I have a stove. That's a heater.
Yeah, we have the stove.
But no central heat. So, yeah, my father is an HVAC mechanic. He's owned his own business for over 30 years now, I think. So... But anyway, so what else is going on? I think next week's show we're going to do 9 tips on how to afford a homestead. I think that would be really interesting. People would like that, and it seems it's really cool. We got a lot of activity on our stream, and a lot of people doing messages. So really appreciate you guys tuning in. But next week, 9 tips to afford a homestead. This week was free land in the United States. It was our first week doing this. We had some technical difficulties. Very interesting, getting this started, but it works. So we'll try to get it going again next week as well. And then, I'll put the links in the description below of all the different places in the United States right now that are giving away free land in the United States. And where you can go to get your own free land in the United States. And again, these are not 120-acre parcels of land. These are, small lots sometimes where you can put a small house. But hey, if you're living in the middle of New York City, or if you're living in the middle of downtown St. Louis, and you're just sick of all the nonsense, and you see what's coming, because there is a collapse coming, and you just want to get out, I would much rather be living in one of these small towns giving away free land on a small lot than living in the middle of downtown USA, in the big city and big metropolitan areas with all the nonsense that you have to put up with today. So, if you're looking for an opportunity, this just may be the opportunity you've been looking for. So I'll put all those links in the description below. You can check it out after the show. And I'll go next week. We're going to do, again, the 9 tips to afford a homestead. We'll check that out. Actually, it's 10 tips to avoid a homestead. We'll check that out coming up next week for the Homestead Network on an American Homestead show. Anything else going on?
No, I think it's almost 10 o'clock. We're supposed to end.
Yeah, they're kicking us off at 10 o'clock. I guess we could go longer if we wanted to. I don't think there's anything else going on. I got to go over and watch the Homestead Homies show to find out how in the world they don't have solar, but they can still connect to the internet. I'm interested to figure out how they do that. You know, he's got some kind of magic box that charges his laptop somehow.
I thought he had a phone. I thought he just
Doug
had...
Doug and Stacy?
Yeah.
I don't know. I gotta go watch the video.
I thought he just got it on his phone.
No, he's got a laptop in the thing. I know. What do you say?
I don't know.
Great show. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you guys tuned in. Oh, cell phone, baby. Oh, so he tethers his phone to his laptop.
That's what I said. Cell phone.
But how does he charge his cell phone and charge his laptop?
In his car.
What?
I'm pretty sure.
Charges your... Oh, so he hotspots it, he says. Hotspots it.
Where?
He says he hotspots it. So let me go back to... So Doug and Stacy, we're going to go over and watch your video at some point soon tomorrow morning. And I'm going to figure out how in the world you charge your stuff because you don't have... Oh, truck. He says truck, baby.
That's what I said.
I don't know. Man, I need to send you a solar panel. You gotta get. You can't be charging your laptop all the time in your truck. There's just something wrong with that.
I don't think he wants a solar. I think didn't he say one time that he wanted to do it without solar? I don't know. I could be wrong, Doug. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I thought you said that one time.
All right. Well, pretty cool. We'll go ahead and take. They have a really good channel. Check it out. Thanks for all the homesteaders out there. I see Revelation Homestead, Minuteman Homestead. There's so many homesteads, and the Homestead Network is kind of putting some of these guys together. There are so many homestead channels out there right now. People have no excuse anymore to be without information on how they can start their homestead and have a successful homestead because there's just so many of us out there today. So we're literally a dime a dozen. So it's pretty cool. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. We're signing off. See you next time on An American Homestead.